kusangana zvekare kwatiri kuita mhuri yezimbabwe pano pachannel yedu patinoyataka kubatirai maupdates enyaya dzakasiyana-siyana dzinenge dziri kuitika mukati menyika yezimbabwe. Kuya zvekare kwatiri kuita panguva ino chirongwa checable 3 chiri muparliament for debate, apo tiri kuona parliament yaenderera mberi nekusimudzira section number 212 of the constitution inotaura kuti ZDF inofanira kunge ichiprotecta constitution yenyika, zvinova zvinhu zviri kuenda against cable 3. Nekudaro mhuri yezimbabwe ndiyo nyaya yatauya takakubatirai musoro wenhau. Saka panapa tisati tapinda mukati mebepanhau redu ratakakubatirai, tichakukurudzirai mose matanga kusvikawo pachannel yedu mukati mezuva ranhasi tichiti garai masubscribe, kulike nekushare video kuitirawo kuti every time patinodzoka nemaupdates munge muchisangana nawo without delaying. Saka regai tienderere mberi nenyaya yedu. On 18 June 2026, news emerged from Zimbabwe's parliament regarding a significant development in the ongoing debate over the constitutional amendment bill number 3. Parliament decided to uphold section 212 of the constitution in its original form. This section outlines the functions of the Zimbabwe Defense Forces. It mandates the ZDF to protect Zimbabwe, its people, its national security, its territorial integrity, and to uphold the constitution. The decision represents a notable pushback against proposed changes to this critical clause. Observers interpret the outcome as a strategic point scored by Vice President Constantino Chiwenga against President Emerson Mnangagwa. The ex-post by Hosea Mviringi captured the moment and declared Chiwenga 1 ED 0. It urged the complete rejection of the entire bill. The attacked video displayed proceedings inside the parliamentary chamber with lawmakers engaged in discussions. Section 212 has played a central role in Zimbabwe's recent political history. The provision gained prominence during the events of November 2017. The military intervention that removed former President Robert Mugabe relied on this section for justification. Military leaders argued that they acted to defend and uphold the constitution against perceived threats from certain individuals around Mugabe. Courts later validated aspects of that position. Many citizens and analysts view the clause as a safeguard that empowers the defense forces to intervene if constitutional order faces serious threats. The government proposed the amendment section 212 through clause 15 of the bill. The amendment sought to delete the phrase "to uphold this constitution" and replace it with "in accordance with the constitution." Officials explained that the change would align the section more closely with sections 213 and 214. These sections emphasize that the defense forces operate under civilian authority and executive commands. Proponents claimed the revision would prevent any future and illiterate military action in political matters. The Constitutional Amendment Bill number 3 contains multiple far-reaching proposals. It recommends extending the term of office for the president, members of parliament, and the local councillors from 5 years to 7 years. This extension would allow President Mnangagwa to remain in office until 2030. The bill also proposes shifting the election of the president from direct popular vote to a parliamentary selection process. Additional clause suggests expanding the Senate granting the president more power to appoint senators, altering the operations of the Zimbabwe Electoral Commission and disbanding certain commissions such as the Gender Commission and the National Peace Commission. The government has defended these changes as necessary for long-term stability. Supporters argue that longer terms enable better planning and implementation of development projects under the Vision 2030 agenda. They believe frequent election cycles disrupt continuity and hinder progress on infrastructure and economic goals. Critics have mounted strong opposition to the bill from the outset. They describe it as a deliberate power consolidation move that undermines democratic principles. Opposition parties, civil society groups, and some war veterans have voiced concerns during public hearings. Many feared that removing direct presidential elections diminish the voice of ordinary citizens. They worry that longer terms reduce accountability because leaders face voters less frequently. The proposed weakening of Section 212 has drawn particular scrutiny. Some legislators, including those from the Citizens Coalition for Change, argued that the change carries a hidden agenda. They suggested it as to limit the military's constitutional duty to protect the supreme law. Public consultations revealed divided opinions across the country. Certain communities supported the stability argument while others rejected any attempt to alter the term limit or electoral processes. The decision to retain the original wording of Section 212 highlights internal divisions within the ruling party. President Mnangagwa and Vice President Chiwenga were key allies during the 2017 transition. Their partnership helped usher in the new administration with promises of constitutionalism and reform. Over time, tensions have surfaced regarding succession and power dynamics. Chiwenga, a retired general who commanded the defense forces in 2017, commands significant support among military war veterans and certain party structures. The retention of Section 212 is seen by some as protecting the legacy of the liberation struggle and the 2013 constitution. ZANU-PF holds a strong majority in parliament, which means the bill could still advance in a modified form. However, the vote on this clause demonstrates that not all members follow a single line. Functional interests appear to influence proceedings behind the scenes. The parliamentary development carries wide implications for Zimbabwe's political future. Upholding Section 212 preserves a mechanism that some believe deters authoritarian overreach. It maintains the defense forces' explicit role as guardians of the Constitution. At the same time, it raises questions about the balance between civilian control and military influence in government. Ordinary Zimbabweans watch these events closely because they affect everyday life. Extending terms could delay fresh leadership and new ideas needed to tackle unemployment, inflation, and service delivery challenges. Removing direct elections might weaken public participation in choosing national leaders. Economic recovery efforts require investor confidence, which depends on political stability and respect for the established rules. Frequently, constitutional amendment risk eroding public trust in institutions and the legal framework. Zimbabwe gained independence in 1980 after a prolonged liberation war. The country adopted the 2013 constitution following a national referendum and inclusive negotiations. That document introduced term limits, stronger Bill of Rights protections, and clearer separation of powers. It emerged as an improvement after decades of political and economic difficulties. The 2017 change of leadership raised hopes for renewed adherence to constitutionalism. President Mnangagwa repeatedly pledged to govern within the bounds of the law and to respect institutions. Critics now argue that the amendment, Bill number 3 contradicts those earlier commitments. They labeled it as self-serving exercise that prioritize individual tenure over national interest. War veterans remain influential in ZANU-PF structures. Their views on constitutional matters carry weight because many participated in the armed struggle for freedom and democracy. The parliamentary session captured in the video reflects the intensity of debates. Lawmakers presented arguments referenced historical events and considered public submissions. The process involves multi-readings, committee reviews, and voting thresholds that require a two-third majority for constitutional changes. Even if the bill proceeds, legal challenges in the courts remain possible. International observers and regional partners monitor developments because Zimbabwe's stability affects the Southern African region. Donors and investors assess the commitment to democratic norms and rule of law before committing resources. Young people who form a large part of the population express particular interest in future leadership opportunities and participation's rise. Civil society organizations continue to advocate for inclusive dialogue and preservation of core constitutional values. The retention of Section 212 does not end the broader contestation around the bill. Further clauses will face scrutiny in coming sessions. Political actors must navigate party loyalty, personal ambitions, and national expectations. Zimbabweans from all walks of life hold a stake in the outcome. The Constitution serves as the foundational pact that binds citizens, leaders, and institutions. Any amendment should strengthen rather than weaken this pact. Peaceful power transition, respect from term limit, and direct citizens participation from essential pillars of democracy. Leaders bear the responsibility to prioritize collective good over individuals' extension of power. Citizens also have a duty to remain informed, engaged constructively, and defend democratic gains achieved over the years. This episode underscores the dynamic nature of Zimbabwean politics. It reveals ongoing negotiations between different centers of influence within the state. The military's constitutional role remains a sensitive and contested issue rooted in history. As the debate continues, all stakeholders should focus on what serves sustainable development, social cohesion, and long-term prosperity. The people of Zimbabwe deserve governance that delivers tangible improvements in living standards while upholding the principles enshrined in the National Charter. The coming weeks and months will determine whether compromise images or deeper polarization takes hold. Ultimately, the legitimacy of any constitutional change rests on broad acceptance and alignment with the will of the majority expressed through proper processes. Ndo nyaya yatiri kuuya nayo muri Zimbabwe kwamuri panguva ino tichizokutsanangurira zvese zviri kutora nzvimbo mukati Parliament panguva ino pari kudhibhetwa chirongwa chikebhu 3 kuti section number 212 yopinzwa mudariro kunzi mauto anofanira kugara achiprotecta constitution zvekarewo nevanhu vemunyika zvekarewo nenyika. Saka kureva kuti chirongwa chikebhu 3 chakuita sekunge chiri kuno dzvanyirirwa, chiri kunovharirwa kunze. Ndo nyaya yatange tauya nayo. Naizvozvo tinokutendai zvikuru nekuona kwamunoita mavideos edu pano pachannel. Ndinoti anawa ndiwo magumo echirongwa chedu. Ngatisanganei zvekare munguva inotevera tichizodzoka nemamwe maupdates. Thank you for watching.